Today I'm in the city of Melbourne. I haven't been in the city for a couple of years. Last Sunday, I was preaching from a verse in Jeremiah, and it seems relevant to where I am today. Here's what it says: "Seek the peace and prosperity of the city to which I have carried you into exile. Pray to the Lord for it, because if the city prospers, you too will prosper." Pray to the Lord for the city in which you live, for if the city prospers, you too will prosper. And so, while I'm in Melbourne, surrounded by people wandering around, and also a number of empty shops, I want to pray for the city. And that means praying for what happens here. And here. And for what happens in places like this. And it means praying in places like this. So you've got to keep your eyes open when you're doing that, or something might happen. Like that. So we pray here. And we pray here. That means praying for places like this. Scott's Church, here in the centre of Melbourne. We want to be praying for the ministry of this church. A church that can reach people in the city in ways that we in the suburbs could never do. Pray for the ministry of Scott's Church as you pray for the city. There's one other key place should be on our minds as we pray for the city. It's this building behind me and all that happens here. This is Parliament House. Why should we pray for our parliamentarians? If you're like me, there are times you don't actually like our parliamentarians. You certainly don't like some of the laws that they passed and the standards that they apparently uphold. But we must pray for our leaders, for our political leaders, for those in authority. Why? Well, the verse from Jeremiah reminds us to pray for the city, because when the city prospers, we also prosper. And so it's in our interest to be praying for the city to do well. We certainly want people to recognise God's grace in that. And so we've got a story to share. But in the New Testament, there's a reference to praying for those in authority. You'll find that in 1 Timothy chapter 2. And in that chapter, Paul urges people everywhere to be praying, first of all, for those in authority, for kings. Why should we pray for them? Well, Paul suggests that we pray for them so that we can live quiet and godly lives. Isn't that interesting? We pray for the city, we pray for our political leaders so that we can live quiet and godly lives. Can't we just choose to live quiet and godly lives anyway? Well, we can, but it's so much easier when we don't have to argue with our governments about whether or not we can evangelise, whether or not we can pray for other people, and whether or not we can use other buildings. And so we pray for our government, we pray for those in authority, we pray for the city. Would you join me in praying for our city of Melbourne? I hope you will. Have a great day. Enjoy what you do. And if you're coming into the city, make sure you buy some food while you're here. People are still doing it tough. Bye-bye.